Hello, and welcome to another Adventures with Alchemy. My name is Skipper Cristian, yeah, that guy, and I am here to, well, bore you to death for another 10 more minutes, or longer. So, today we're going to talk about the lemon. This is a lemon. It is yellow. It is a fruit. It is sour. On today's episode of Adventures with Alchemy, we'll be discussing lemons and why they're so special to the culinary world. They are fantastic in cocktails, they are fantastic in food, and well, damn it, they need to have their own show. So here we go, okay? Lemons. Right. So, we're going to start with the cocktail. And being that my family is from Chile, I have a affinity for Pisco Sour, okay? I was raised on it. It was the first cocktail I ever learned how to make. And it is something that it tastes like family to me because it's like when I grew up in a house full of Chileans, and when they partied, this was always on the table. And so as I was growing up, a little sip here, a little taste there, I was asking Dad, "Hey Dad, kind of thing, And so I grew up loving it, and I still do to this day. Before we begin making the cocktail, I want to discuss a few things. When it comes to history of spirits and cocktails, I always say you have to be careful because a lot of things are just hearsay. A lot of things are just stories, okay? You have to find things that are on paper. You have to have documentation. If you don't have documentation, you can say, well, this cocktail was created or this recipe was created long before this. Well, that's great. But if that wasn't actually named, the drink or whatever, then we run into problems. I'll give you an example. There's a book that is written 20, 30 years prior to when we actually have officially named the Pisco Sour, okay? There is an actual recipe, but it's not named the Pisco Sour, it's just a recipe. So does that actually count as the Pisco Sour? I mean, the exact recipe to the T is there, but it doesn't have a name. And then you go 30, 40 years ahead of time, and you now have somebody who has a bar, created a drink called the Pisco Sour, and well, so you see what I mean? So, and that was actually documented. So, okay, moving on. Where the Pisco Sour was born. It was created by an American bartender named Victor Von Morris, who left the United States in the early 1900s, 1903, and moved to Peru. He worked in the city for a long time, and then from there, he opened his own bar. After about 6 or 7 years, he opened his own bar called Bar Morris, and he took his knowledge that he learned in the States, and he used that style in Peru, and well, it was very popular. He did a great job. He had celebrities. He had the upper class of Peru. He had all the upper echelon of society, and well, the best tourists. All the people that were traveling through would go to Bar Morris. So what happens is this. One night, Victor Von Morris is out. He's partying with his friends at his bar, and apparently they're having whiskey sours. Victor Von Morris liked whiskey sours like most of us Americans do. He's having a whiskey sour with his friends. Many whiskey sours later, the bottle of whiskey or the bottles of whiskey are now gone, okay? There's no more whiskey, no more whiskey. So what do? Well, you look around and, well, you have Pisco, lots of it. So hell, let's make a Pisco Sour. How does that go? So you do the same thing you do with a whiskey sour, but you make a Pisco Sour and boom, instant hit, So suddenly you now have this new cocktail, sort of, and it now has a name. It now has some popularity because it's behind a bar with a name. But that's not the end of it. Over a few years, he collaborated with another bartender named Mario Buget, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But this gentleman, along with Victor, they created the final version of the Pisco Sour, which is the one we know today, with Angostura bitters, with the egg white, and of course the coupe and everything. So yes, it started off one way, it went through many changes and growth and evolution until it became the way we now know it. Now that we have a understanding, at least a little bit of an understanding, about Pisco and sours and the history of all of this, let's make one. Okay, let's start our Pisco Sour. We'll begin with our mise en place, okay? Let's start with our non-alcoholic ingredients. So if you mess up, you're not wasting alcohol. So 1 ounce of egg white. Yes, I know, 1 ounce, I get it. 1 ounce is usually a small egg, a regular egg is 1 ounce of egg white, okay? But if you're using a big egg, if you're using like the bigger eggs, then you might wanna You might want to measure it out. Now, I know if you're in a busy bar, you don't have time for that. But if you do have time for that, try to make it 1 ounce, okay? If not, don't worry about it. One egg is not going to kill you, all right? You're going to need 1 ounce of lemon, 1 ounce of simple syrup, and we got to add Angostura, 3 drops. And the original recipe calls for 3 ounces of Pisco. We're only going to do 2. Okay, let's do 3. Yeah, we'll do 3. I would say do 2 if you're working in a professional environment, okay? To keep things balanced. But if you're among friends, if you're at home, just use 3. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? It's not gonna hurt you. And I'm gonna use Chilean Pisco because, well, I'm Chilean and they are close to my heart and I love them. Well, even though Pisco does not come from Chile, it comes from Peru, okay? Sorry. Now, let's begin with our equipment. You have your shaker and tin. You have your jigger, okay? 1 ounce, 2 ounce. And you have your strainer. Also, you will need a chilled coupe for this, all right? Now, the way we're gonna do this is gonna be a little different. We're gonna dry shake first. Dry shake means you shake without ice. You're gonna just shake all the ingredients together to create an emulsification and a foam, okay? You wanna create that nice foam and you wanna combine those ingredients really well without adding water just yet. Let's start by putting our egg white in. Then 1 ounce of lemon juice. 1 ounce of simple syrup. And we're gonna do 3 ounces of Pisco. Now, I read that in certain parts of the world, they actually use lime for this. Lime and sugar, really fine sugar for this. And that actually sounds really good. It's not what I would call a Pisco Sour, but I know that there are some people that would call it a Pisco Sour. And if I was in their home and they served that to me and they said it was a Pisco Sour, I would not argue. I would not be rude. I would probably enjoy it quite a bit. But when we're going into tradition and what is written on paper and what is historically documented, this is a Pisco Sour, okay? So, dry shake. All our ingredients are in here except our ice. Shake it well. What you're looking for is the feeling of the liquid obviously going back and forth, hitting those walls rapidly. Now, get us some ice, and we will proceed. So, take your ice, put it into your dry shaken cocktail, give it a good solid shake, chill it. Now, Angostura bitters. Okay, so our Pisco Sour is done. It is ready to drink, so cheers.